statement. Alright, it is time to roast the critics who hate Novocaine. No, not that one. I'm talking about the best film of 2025 so far. Head on over to Rotten Tomatoes and you will see that the audience gave Novocaine 89% and the critics gave it 82%. Who'd have known that this would be the movie to challenge the great Bob Odenkirk? First up, we have Kate Erbland from IndieWire. She says, Jacobson's script and Berk and Olsen's direction soon offer a batshit U-turn that dilutes this idea in myriad disappointing ways. Novocaine doesn't need to make anyone this numb. Not after start with a real, shot to the arm. Alright, so aside from the shoddy grammar, I cannot make heads of the root of this critique. There are many U-turns to be taken here. So I don't know what particular U-turn she's complaining about, but I enjoyed every one of them because I don't think I saw any of them coming. It's the twist that came every 10 to 15 minutes that kept me glued to my seat. And that's rare for a movie these days, to not only be unpredictable, but to actually be bold enough to go in different ways than is expected. You've heard it said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in modern Hollywood that gets changed to a poster is worth the entire plot of the movie. Alright, so let's get real here. The only people who are not going to like this movie are the ones who have an intolerance for grotesque violence and surprises in the story. G. Allen Johnson from San Francisco Chronicle says, Novocaine isn't exactly painless to sit through. You know, I hate when people use physical symptoms to sitting down and watching a movie. You've got your legs out in front of you, you're reclining, and by sitting there and ultimately just staring at a wall. If G. Allen Johnson felt any sort of pain from watching this movie, he needed to vacate the theater and get to a hospital as soon as possible. Not just for his own well-being, but for his wife and kids. If he's just absorbing all this pain, all this physical harm while watching a film, there are some bigger issues at stake here than just this guy's opinion on this movie. Jen Yamato from Washington Post says, Novocaine lives up to its name, alright. A tedious action comedy so numbingly bland, you feel the pain of its 110-minute runtime, even as its protagonist can't feel a thing. Excuse me, but I believe 100-minute runtime is a blessing these days. And it's not exactly 110 minutes, because credits. You know, I used to say it's worth paying to see a 3-hour movie in theaters because you're getting your money's worth. But nowadays, I say it's a delicacy to get in with a 90-minute movie and then a theater hop to a 3-hour movie. I'm not condoning that behavior, I'm just throwing it out there, relax. Maxance Vincent from In Session Film says, there isn't a single image you can extract from Novocaine that feels like a movie. What the frick is this guy talking about? Novocaine doesn't conform to the status quo of today's movies. Maybe it doesn't feel like a movie because it's actually entertaining. You know, there was a time when movies used to be described as magical, humorous, painstakingly beautiful. Remember those days? Now the best thing we can say about movies is, it wasn't terrible. The CGI was pretty cool, I guess. At least it matched every beat of the trailer. So no, Novocaine doesn't feel like a movie. Because it's actually fun and original. Something Hollywood has forgotten all about. Michael Phillips from Chicago Tribune says, by the end of Novocaine, it's as if the filmmakers forgot how their movie started. What the frick is... Where's the logic in this statement? Does Michael expect every story to end the exact way it started? Potential spoiler! At the beginning of the movie, Nathan Kane wanted the girl. By the end of the movie, he got the girl. It just didn't go about it in the conventional way that we're so used to now. You know what I think would be better content for Michael Phillips to consume? How about the award-winning children's book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, by Laura Hof Numeroff. That book starts with the mouse getting a cookie, and it ends with the mouse getting a cookie. I think that's the story arc that Michael here is looking for. By the way, I was the first one to read an entire book in my kindergarten class. And guess what book that was? Nate Adams from The Only Critic, that's presumptuous, says Novocaine is a film that desperately tries to emulate the grungy, guerrilla style of lower-budget Michael Bay movie. But in doing so, it ultimately, akin to the main character, leaves you feeling nothing. I just have one question here. What kind of monster goes into a brainless action film expecting to feel something. Why is Nate bringing Michael Bay into this? Not once did I think of Michael Bay during this movie, and believe you me, I think of him a lot. Newsflash, Nate. Not every action movie is trying to be reminiscent of Michael Bay. No one goes into an action movie hoping to feel something. No one's gonna say, bring your box of Kleenex when you come to see Die Hard 8. No! Did he not know what he was getting himself into? I watch action movies in order to numb myself for an hour or so. That's why I don't drink. I don't need to. I have an infinite amount of action movies to get drunk on. And some nights, when I'm feeling just a little bit frisky, I'll turn on Miss Congeniality like it's a banana Negroni. Oscar Goff from Cambridge Day says, Novocaine is a one-joke film. And while the joke is pretty good, the filmmakers keep forgetting to tell it. Well, Oscar, how would you know the joke is good if the filmmakers forgot to tell it? You cannot possibly avoid the zinger going into this movie. So the filmmakers set up a joke. And the punchlines are arrows, hot oil, broken bones, a mace. Isn't that amazing? Robert Dennerstein from Dennerstein Unleashed, that's a bit pretentious, says it begins softly, then comes on like a battering ram. Well done, genius! You just discovered the formula for literally every action movie ever made. What does this guy prefer? The movie start off softly and it comes at you with a thimble? Frank Switek from One Guy's Opinion says, it's hard to believe that anybody thought it was a good idea to base a gory action comedy on a premise trivializing a life-threatening medical condition. First off, Frank Switek looks like the love child of Richard Kind and Nathan Lane. Secondly, if you look at his resume on Medium, it says that Dr. Frank Switek is Associate Professor of History at the University of Dallas, where he is regarded as a particularly tough grader. So he's one of those professors that nobody wants. He has been the film critic of the University News since 1988, KRLDM. He's the president of the Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critic Association. So basically, this guy's a snob. What is he doing going to see this movie? This is the guy that's supposed to be telling us what movies to watch and what movies to avoid. And for a supposed doctor? Hasn't Frank ever visited a sick person? They're the ones most crass about their disease or abnormality because it's a way to manage it and subdue the threat. For example, I have a mechanical heart. You can hear it tick, 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 tick. I get called Croc because of the crocodile from Peter Pan. Funny stuff. I don't think anybody with CEPA is watching this film going, oh, it hurts. It's so offensive. Oh my goodness, it's so offensive. Nothing hurts for them. He goes on to say, it will make lovers of comic movie violence blissful while inducing those averse to it to gag. Okay, anyone, and I mean anyone, who goes into a movie these days and complains about the content that it presents to them probably need to have traffic lights installed in their house. It didn't used to be this way, but the labels on the MPAA ratings now always tell you why it's given the rating that it is. Pull up Novocaine anywhere on the internet, and it becomes painfully obvious that this movie is rated R for strong bloody violence, grisly images, and language throughout. You can't miss it. If you know that you are adverse to blood and gore, you are not gonna see this movie. I'm telling you, Dr. Frank Switek saw the cover of this movie, went into the theater with his little notepad, crossed his arms, and pouted the whole way through this movie because Novocaine wasn't sophisticated enough. So why go, dude? Why dirty up your delectable palate? All right, the most honest review for Novocaine goes to M.N. Miller from Fandom Wire. Says, Novocaine is a shot of pure, hilarious adrenaline. That's all I got for you. Go support this original film, and I will see you in the next video. Jacobson's script and... She says, Jacobson's script and Berk and Olsen's... She says,